I have been thinking this week about how we will tell the story of these past 2 years. Those many endless months of lockdown, separation, and loss. Those evenings of sleepless nights and the anxiety of waking up each morning and hearing the latest pandemic news. What will I say to my children and my grandchildren about these times? Will I focus only on the challenges and the sadness? Or will I be able to also hold on to the incredible creativity and hope that we also managed to muster? What memories will I remember and what will I let go? The stories of the pandemic will be different for all of us, and we will reflect on the way that we can hold on to this experience. Yet the way we will tell this story and the reasons why we tell it will be what matters. Like every other experience or challenging moment in our lives, telling others about this time will help us hold on to the lessons we've learned and even help us pull ourselves through the trauma and the pain we might have experienced and bring us to a place of hope and strength. The story of these days matter. This week, a new chapter in the story of the Jewish people begins. We've made our way from the family stories of Genesis to Moses and the escape from Egypt. The Jewish people begin their years of wandering through the desert. They've crossed the Sea of Reeds and they've received the Torah from Mount Sinai. And then we reach a new chapter of the story that begins with a very unique introduction. Ve'ele Mishpatim. These are the rules that you should set before them. What are we to take away from this? Torah, in its most literal form, means teaching or instruction. And as we know, the Torah is both a mix of stories and laws. Up until this point, the Torah was mostly narrative. Adam and Eve, Noah, the patriarchs and matriarchs, Joseph, and of course Moses, with some laws mixed in. These are stories that are so memorable that they have their own books and their own movies. While many important laws have already been given, it's the story that held together the Torah so far. But then Moses receives the 10 Commandments, and the Torah switches its tone. Now we have laws with a mix of stories. And remarkably, this is the moment when we take a break from the story. This is the moment that the Torah becomes alive. From this point on, the Jewish people are asked to learn from the lessons, from the stories of the past, and through the lens of law and practice. Now they must live out what they've learned. There's a classic tale from the rabbis that reminds us of this remarkable process, how the entirety of Jewish practice and belief owes itself to the memory of the experiences of those who came before us. So there were two writers, and they rushed into the Beit Midrash of the study hall of the Rizhiner Rebbe. They wanted him to write the preface, the introduction to their respective books. One of them was writing on Jewish law, the other on Agadah, the tales and the lore of the Talmud. The law scholar was sure that the Rebbe would see him first because of his expertise on Jewish ritual, law, and practice. However, the Rebbe said that he would see the storyteller first, saying, "Our Torah begins with stories. Were it not for the stories, we'd have no basis for the mitzvot, the laws that follow." So it's the stories that bring to life all that we do and make sure that others can learn from our experiences. So these are the laws. It's not just the end of the best stories in the Torah and the start of these laws. It's really marking the beginning of our story. Our ancestors have been through the journey. They've been oppressed and they've made their way to freedom. Now we too have been through our own challenges. From the ups and downs of our individual lives to the journey of this pandemic. And we are being asked now to take ownership of our history, our ancient and our recent, both our communal and the most deeply personal of our experiences. We can reflect on these times and commit ourselves to create a new story. It's up to us to be good people, to help build stronger relationships and communities, and to fix the world. And as the Torah reminds us, we will never be perfect. Creating a better world takes time. While we may not be sure of everything in our lives, we can find a way to stand tall, to tell our story, and then the future can only be brighter.